My name is Jack. I am going to tell you my story. My motivations are not about me, but about the one I loved, and still do love. But enough of my rambling. Let me tell you my story already. It started when I was 20, and when I was in college. I met the love of my life, and her name was Ivy. She was truly the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, me and Ivy didn't start out in a relationship automatically. We were friends at first, and by that, I mean we didn't really know each other that well. But that would soon change, as we started to know each other better and better. Over time, me and Ivy began to have a liking for each other. Before I knew it, we were dating, and honestly, those moments of me dating her were the best moments of my entire life. Eventually, we moved into a house together, bought a car together, and so on. At this point, me and Ivy had been living together for a good 4 years, and honestly, the both of us couldn't have been happier. Life overall was absolutely amazing for me. I was soon saving up my money for a wedding ring so I could marry Ivy. Eventually I had enough money, so I bought the ring. Once I bought the ring, I went home and proposed to Ivy, asking her to marry me. She said yes with excitement in her voice. The both of us hugged each other. Then Ivy said one last thing to me before we went to bed. "I love you so much, Jack." I quickly responded saying, "I love you too." A couple minutes after the excitement and the surprise of me proposing, the both of us decided to go to bed. Me and Ivy laid down on the bed and fell asleep within minutes. I woke up in the dead of night, noticing that Ivy was not in bed with me, but instead, she seemed to have left the room. "Ivy?" I called out, just a tad bit worried, but I started to panic when I didn't get a response. I figured maybe she was in the kitchen, so I made my way down to the kitchen. I saw a horrifying and gruesome sight as I entered the kitchen. I saw a woman in a clown mask stabbing my wife to death with a knife. There were knife wounds all over my wife's body, and there was blood all over. It was such a gruesome sight that I almost vomited. There were so many stab wounds, and there was so much blood that my wife was almost unidentifiable. In an emotion of rage and dread, I ran at the woman ready to attack her. In a rush, the woman threw a knife at my arm. As soon as the knife hit my arm, she ran out of an open door. My eyes started to water as the realization of what had just happened came over me. "No, Ivy, you can't be dead. There's no way this is possible," I repeatedly said to myself over and over again. I tried my best to stop crying, and I eventually called the police to report what had just happened. After I called the police, they showed up in no time, and they had me treated for my knife wound. The police interrogated me for hours, asking me about every detail of what happened, and most importantly, they asked me if I knew the person who killed my wife. I obviously didn't, so I replied with a simple no. The police told me that they were going to have an investigation at my house, and because of that, I should stay at a hotel or family member's house for about a week. I simply decided to stay at a hotel. As I was staying at the hotel, I was starting to fall into a deep depression, so much so that I didn't even care to eat or sleep. I could only think about my beloved wife, who had been killed by some random person. About a week later, I was able to go back to my house. When I walked into my house, I was immediately hit with a deep sense of sorrow and dread. The realization that my wife was truly gone hit me, and because of that, I was truly and deeply depressed. I sat in my house for several days, hardly ever moving. In fact, I wasn't even moving to go to work. I didn't even care about my life anymore. Then, I got a thought in my head, something I hadn't thought of before. I decided that I was no longer going to sit around and do nothing, but rather, I was going to buy a weapon. If I buy a weapon, I could be ready if the person who killed my wife ever came back, I thought to myself. My motivations were now about me avenging my wife, who had been brutally killed by a psychopath. I went to a gun store, bought a revolver, and 12 bullets to go with it. If this bastard comes back to my house, I'll be ready, I said to myself as I entered my car. When I got back home, it was approaching 9 o'clock at night, and seeing as how I had been awake for days without any sleep, I was incredibly tired. I went into my house, and quickly went to my bedroom. Before I went to bed, though, I took my revolver, loaded it, and put it in my pocket. I laid on my bed, closed my eyes, and within seconds, I fell asleep. I woke up to what sounded like feminine laughter, and by that point, I knew exactly who it was. It was the one who killed my wife. Rage overcame me. I quickly reached for my gun, pulled it out of my pocket, aimed it, and took a shot at the woman. The woman dodged my shot and threw a knife at me, but the knife just missed me. I quickly took another shot, and the bullet hit the woman's arm. As the bullet pierced the flesh of her arm, she immediately stumbled back in pain while grabbing her arm that had just gotten shot at. I quickly got up from my bed. At this point, I was ready to finally avenge my wife. I walked closer to the woman and asked one question. Who the hell are you? The woman was in the corner, holding her injured arm. She took off her clown mask and looked at me with a smile on her face. I am Happy the Clown, the best clown there is at that, the woman known as Happy the Clown said in a rather psychotic but joyful tone. Well, clown lady, time for you to die. I think not, Jack. Before I knew it, Happy the Clown pulled out a small handgun and shot me in the leg. I fell to the ground in pain, and I knew that this was it. I was going to die. I'm so sorry, Ivy. I failed you, I mumbled out loud. I then seen Happy the Clown stare down at me, aiming a gun directly at my face. I heard a loud bang, and suddenly, everything faded to black. Then, I felt like I regained consciousness, because I woke up in pitch blackness. In fact, there was nothing but blackness. I was laying on what I assumed to be a floor, so I stood up. Hello? Is anyone there? Oh yes, there is, Jack. In fact, I'm closer than you think, my child. Who are you? I'm quite disappointed that you don't know who I am. But I am known as Deadeyes to you mortals. What are you, some sort of demon? No, I'm so much more than just some little demon. But it doesn't matter what I am. It's what I want to give you that matters, Jack. Okay, I'm listening, Deadeyes. Good, so all you wanted was to avenge your wife, right? Yes, that was the least I could have done for her, but I failed. Okay, well I have the literal power to end a person's life whenever I want to. So what I'm getting at here is that I can make sure Happy the Clown, or Natalie, which is her actual name, will die. In fact, her death will be brutal. You could really do that? But even if you could do that, what would you want in return? Yes, I can really do that. What I want in return is you. I want you to be my proxy, or my soldier in other words. But Deadeyes, how long will I have to be a proxy for you? For the rest of your life. Now there's more to it than that, though. If you want me to, I can erase your memories. It will be like nothing ever happened. I can also make you younger. I'll even make you 17 again. It will be like a new start, Jack. Think about it. No more pain, no more struggles of the real world. It will be a new start. And Ivy will rest in peace, knowing the one that made her suffer died an even worse fate. Assuming you're telling the truth, I guess it's for the best. But yes, I'll join you. I will be your proxy. Good. I knew you would join me. After our conversation, I seen Deadeyes walk up to me. He was a tall, devilish creature, with black skin, horns all over his body, and 2 black empty sockets. Okay, Jack, just let me know whenever you're ready for a new start. Deadeyes walked off, saying, "Whenever you are ready, Jack, just call my name." That was my story, and here I am now. I guess joining Deadeyes is the last thing I will ever do. It is now time for a whole new life.